A Laurinburg man is arrested and charged with killing his brother.
And a woman speaks out after facing animal cruelty charges.
Plus, mental health services in North Carolina colleges may be improving. I'm Andrew Thrift.
And I'm Madison Schwinneker, and this is Carolina News Today. A man in Laurinburg is accused of shooting and killing his brother. 22-year-old Van Milton DeBerry was arrested on Friday night after his older brother was found in his home on Blues Farm Road. With a gunshot wound, 23-year-old Vendel Taylor DeBerry died after being taken to the hospital. Van DeBerry is charged with first-degree murder. According to the Laurinburg Exchange, the brothers and two other family members in the same home were charged with firearm and drug offenses 2 years ago.
The family of a North Carolina man who died in police custody is calling for manslaughter charges against the Raleigh officers involved in his arrest. Darrell Williams died January 17th at a Raleigh hospital. According to police, officers had deployed 2 separate tasers in drive stun mode, which both contacted Williams in a span of less than a minute. Civil rights and personal injury attorney Ben Crump joined the family Thursday to demand the 6 officers face manslaughter charges.
So when he said, I have heart problems, you would not think that a person then will tase him again.
That's right.
And again.
That's right.
That's not humanity. That's torture. Why do they get to torture black people and they say that's okay?
The officers have been placed on administrative leave pending an immediate criminal investigation by the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. The Raleigh Police Protective Association represents 2 of the 6 officers. The advocacy group said in a statement, quote, "All the officers involved followed all policies and did not commit any violation of any criminal law. Their actions were absolutely not criminal."
The Lumbee Tribal Council approved a resolution on Thursday in support of Kayla's Law. The bill was that introduced in the General Assembly last week is named after Kayla Hammonds, a member of the Lumbee tribe who was fatally stabbed in a Food Lion parking lot in Lumberton. Prior to this, Hammond shared on social media that she was a victim of domestic violence, and in multiple instances, she predicted her death. This law would allow for remote testimony of domestic victims along with other measures to provide better protection. It would permit prior statements of a domestic violence victim to be used against a defendant in the event the defendant renders the victim, quote, unavailable.
Details in an animal hoarding investigation in Leicester. 41 dogs were seized January 31st on the property of a woman who was allegedly warned multiple times to address filthy conditions and neglect. That owner spoke to News 13's Kimberly King on Friday and acknowledged her situation was out of control.
This was a kennel that we have. Were they living in the most fabulous conditions? No. But it doesn't mean that I won't want to get them back.
Lindsay Rue says she knows there's a slim chance of that.
From here all the way down to the corner is all horse pasture.
Facing multiple cruelty charges, including starving her horse to death.
No, I didn't starve her on purpose. From my perspective, a lot of people have been falling on hard times right now, and that's exactly what happened to us.
But it doesn't negate the fact that there was evidence here that the animals were in distress, that there were issues with the way that you were caring for these animals.
I agree with that.
I had to make this gate to keep the dogs out.
Neighbor Bill Rogers said Rue's dogs barking overnight was constant.
But there was a few times when they were pretty aggressive.
Part of the problem was that the dogs went over the 4-foot fence.
You feel like maybe looking back, Lindsay, that you were in over your head?
Yeah, I was in over my head.
Rue said she had to start keeping her dogs in her home after warnings that they kept getting loose. Investigators say they found her 4-year-old living in animal excrement.
That is what they found.
Rue says she feels badly. Her son is now in the care of his father in another state.
Rue faces charges for allegedly starving a horse to death, resisting an officer, and animal cruelty. She'll be in court on Wednesday on those charges. A spokesman for the ASPCA says that the dogs are getting good care and need to heal, but at this point, they're not up for adoption.
An important thoroughfare over I-95 in Lumberton will close this week. Carthage Road Bridge, also known as the Exit 19 Bridge, is scheduled to close around 1 p.m. Thursday. This is part of a project to widen I-95 between Exit 13 and mile marker 21. Drivers will still be able to get on and off the exit, but can't cross over the highway until an improved bridge is built and opened in fall of 2024. Drivers will be directed to use Exit 20 if they need to cross I-95 in that vicinity.
The UNC System Board of Governors meets this week, and one item on their agenda is a proposal to buy out older faculty with an incentive package. They've asked North Carolina lawmakers for $16.8 million to fund a program that would offer 1 year of salary to eligible professors who agree to retire. 5 universities would be prioritized, and those schools are the ones that have suffered biggest enrollment drops, such as ECU, Greensboro, and Asheville. Supporters say the program would eventually pay for itself, and the system's funding model also changes.
Earlier this semester, we told you about our own decline in enrollment at UNCP and a new policy that allows the school to enroll more out-of-state students as consequence. Enrollment is down nationwide because of demographic shifts in the number of available teenagers and because more people are deciding to forego a college education. Of course, there are still thousands of students at UNCP, so we asked some of them, "Why are you here?" Here's what they said.
I'm at UNCP because of, well, first of all, it was not my first choice of a college, but it was the cheapest choice of a college. And then when I got here, I loved the environment, and so I chose to stay. And I love the professors, I love the small classrooms and stuff like that.
I go to UNCP for the Master's in Social Work program and basketball.
Well, it was like the cheapest option for when I was like looking at all of the colleges that I wanted to enroll, and this was like just the best, cheapest option for me personally.
Because it's a more cheaper school than the other ones like Chapel Hill and stuff like that. It's a lot cheaper. Tuition's only like $500 for a semester.
I'm at UNCP mainly for soccer. Yeah, I came here for my sport, but also I really like the small school feel, and then especially the small class sizes. That's how I learn the best.
Because I'm the first one in my family to go to college, and I want to make my family proud. And I got offered a scholarship to play sports here, so I was very ecstatic, and that is what also pushed me to going here.
I chose UNCP because I wanted to get away from home, and then also it was cheap and affordable, and it just gave me an opportunity to wrestle in college.
I come to school here because I play basketball here.
I'm here for business. I came here for a business major.
Governor Roy Cooper has announced $7.7 million in new funding to support North Carolina's colleges and universities in providing additional mental health services to students. The UNC system will be working with community colleges and states' independent colleges and universities to provide suicide prevention training to faculty and staff. The UNC system will also use the funding to continue to provide students with access to an after-hours mental health hotline across all 17 UNC institutions.
You might be seeing some purple boxes around campus. These boxes are for senior Candace Campbell's honors thesis project. She's asking for donations of feminine products, toiletries, and other hygiene items for care packages for domestic violence victims. These packages will be given to women at the Southeastern Family Violence Center in Lumberton. She says it's important to make people aware of how domestic violence impacts our community.
But my main goal is really to spread awareness, to let people know how prominent of an issue it's become in this community. Like, it's just getting closer and closer to home, and it's just more prominent, especially in tribal communities.
A train derailment earlier this month causes lingering fears about water and air quality.
And Utah passes a major LGBTQ bill.
Those stories and more after this.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Norfolk Southern Railway officials say the company is working with state agencies in Ohio to respond to the environmental impact caused by their train derailment on February 3rd. While the EPA says the air and water are safe in the area surrounding East Palestine, some residents say they're still concerned about potential health hazards caused by the accident. CNN's John Lawrence reports.
Just over 2 weeks have passed since a Norfolk Southern train derailed and dumped toxic materials near East Palestine, Ohio, but the aftermath lingers on.
Watch what happens when they disturb the waterbed. Look at these chemicals, look at those colors. These chemicals, and it has kind of a butane smell to it.
On Sunday, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg sent a letter to Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw demanding accountability, adding that the people of East Palestine cannot be forgotten, nor can their pain be simply considered the cost of doing business.
We worked with the Ohio EPA on safe operations and safety for the community.
Norfolk Southern CEO Alan Shaw also says all air and municipal water tests have come back clean, but some people should still drink bottled water.
Private well testing, we need to continue to monitor and test the wells and wait for those test results to come back.
Some residents say they are suffering from ailments like headaches and sore throats since the derailment.
After those symptoms, I also noticed that I have this rash on my arm that was not there before I came here.
Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says he understands why people in the affected areas are skeptical and concerned.
They know that corporate lobbyists have had far too much influence in our government, and they see this as the result. And this kind of thing shouldn't happen.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality has awarded about $1.3 million in grants for projects that will reduce air pollution from diesel-powered vehicles. This grant will replace 10 diesel vehicles with cleaner alternatives, mostly electric vehicles. It will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by more than 2,656 tons and eliminate more than 40 tons of nitrogen oxide. In Cumberland County, the Solid Waste Authority will use the funds to replace 2 large construction vehicles.
Insurance companies in North Carolina want to raise your car insurance premiums. Represented by the North Carolina Rate Bureau, they've asked the Department of Insurance for permission to increase rates for private passenger vehicles by 28.4%. If approved, the new rates could go into effect October 1st. The North Carolina Department of Insurance will review the request and its justification. If they don't agree with it, they can negotiate a settlement or call for a hearing.
A North Carolina woman is reunited with her purse after it was missing for 30 years. Where and how it was found may be hard to believe. Maria DeBone has the story from the historic Liberty Theater in downtown North Wilkesboro.
So as we were demolishing this space, we were taking out some pieces from the ceiling, and it actually fell out of the ceiling and literally hit one of our guys right on the head.
One of the new co-owners of the Liberty Theater, Mick Zolpo, tasked his wife with finding the rightful owner, and it didn't take long.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I was excited.
Sherry Church was 17 years old in 1992. She says she came to the Liberty Theater all the time with friends, and one day she lost her purse with several important items inside.
And here was the famous birth certificate in which they found me with.
A birth certificate, an old job application, a class schedule, makeup, pictures, and more. All lost for 30 years.
So opening all of this back up, does it just bring back a lot of memories from when you were in high school?
Oh yeah, some of the people I didn't even remember I had pictures of.
But no money was inside.
I think someone has maybe taken it, gone through and maybe taken the money out, come into this little closet because it was a staff-only space, hidden the evidence upstairs,
Well,
they
that's
made their
what
way.
we thought.
So,
Sherry even kept coming back to the theater throughout the years, never knowing the purse was there all along.
Yeah, I never do. So I've been here, my purse has been here, never knew.
And now the purse is a part of the theater's long history.
but there's a lot of unsubstantiated rumors of people like Elvis or Patsy Cline being here, which kind of add to the feel of this theatre. And I think the purse now is part of that 91-year history like those stories is.
The Supreme Court this week is set to hear back-to-back oral arguments that could reshape online speech and content. The case of Gonzalez versus Google looks at whether tech platforms and social media companies can be sued for recommending content to their users. Justices will also look at a lawsuit concerning the hosting of terrorist content. A 30-year-old federal law is at the heart of the legal battle. Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act. Historically, it has been interpreted as protecting tech platforms from lawsuits over user-generated content. Rulings in these cases are expected by the end of June.
A bill banning LGBTQ conversion therapy in Utah passed the legislature unanimously on Friday. Ben Winslow reports on why some changes to the bill helped it win the support of the state's largest LGBTQ rights group.
The Senate gave final approval today to the bill that started out doing the opposite of what it does now. The bill originally was going to legalize some forms of conversion therapy. It's a widely discredited practice that attempts to change someone's sexual orientation or gender identity. But the LGBTQ rights group Equality Utah says it met with lawmakers and worked through it. The bill offers guidelines for therapists, but now bans conversion therapy on minors in Utah.
This is politics at its very best, when stakeholders from all sides can come together, listen to each other, learn from each other, and then discover common ground. And we hope that in the future, lawmakers will continue that pattern, that model of bringing stakeholders together and finding the best policy.
Now, what makes this a big deal is Utah originally had an administrative rule. Those are guidelines that essentially have the effect of law. But what the legislature has done now is enshrine a ban on conversion therapy into law. Governor Spencer Cox was involved in the negotiations and says he supports this bill. On the Hill, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The National Park Service is set to build a new addition underneath the Lincoln Memorial to pay tribute to the structure's civil rights history. It will feature exhibits highlighting the history of the monument as a backdrop for civil rights demonstrations. The $69 million project will add 15,000 square feet of exhibits that will display the foundations underneath the Lincoln Memorial. Visitors will learn about the achievements of Abraham Lincoln and individuals such as Marian Anderson and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The Lincoln Memorial is expected to remain open throughout construction.
Today is Mardi Gras, also known as Fat Tuesday, and it signals the beginning of the religious season of Lent, which starts on Ash Wednesday. A woman in Louisiana has been celebrating Mardi Gras for at least 100 years. That's as far back as she can remember. She's 103 years old. Take a look.
First, I like seeing the parades, seeing all the people, all the children, the bands and all. We have it all.
At 103 years old, Mary Muniz has seen more parades than most in her lifetime. But as she, friends, and family prepared to watch the crews of Iris and Tux on Saturday, Muniz says she has no intention of stopping now.
I'm still enjoying life. I'm still kicking, but not as high.
Affectionately known as Nana, Muniz was on the Uptown New Orleans parade route to watch her daughter ride with the crew of Iris. She also had a grandson riding with the crew of Tux.
My daughter is 80 years old, so it's been that many years. In fact, I have a little nephew that's in Catholic school, 6 years old, so he knows how old I am. So he told his mother the other day, he said, you know, Mama, God is the oldest, and then Nanny, that's me.
Yes, she is everyone's like Nana. I mean, she is awesome.
Leighton Jeremy isn't related to Muniz, but has been part of the group that gathers on the St. Charles Neutral Ground for years. Loved ones at one point even made shirts with some of their favorite Nana quotes.
Don't put that on Facebook.
Jeremy says she makes everyone feel like family.
She is like Mardi Gras.
Yeah,
She is
Mardi Gras.
She is the queen. She is what is good in life.
Muniz says that after more than a century, her love for New Orleans and Mardi Gras hasn't faded one bit, and she still plans to get the most out of life.
The food, we have the people that are just fantastic, and so I'm still enjoying it all. That's why I'm still hanging around.
Braves athletics brought home some of the shiny stuff this week.
And the biggest name in the WNBA is poised for a return.
Mihaela Trace is up next with CNT Sports.
Braves baseball left their home mount Saturday undefeated after clean sweep number 3 on the season. Conference Carolina's foe, Belmont Abbey, met the Braves on base this weekend where the Braves' dominant offensive streak would continue. In Game 1 of the series, the Braves barely squeezed out an 8-9 win after the late surge in the 9th inning. Game 2 saw the Braves' offense play lights out in a 12-0 win. Saturday's evening matchup in Game 3 was decided by 3 runs with the team topping the Crusaders 9-6. The team is back in action this afternoon against Mercy College here at home. Softball traveled to South Carolina to take on Anderson University in a 2-game matchup. Both games went down on Sunday where the UNCP split with the Trojans 1 game apiece. In Game 1, both offenses struggled to get it going, but the Braves more so, and they dropped the first game 2-0. In Game 2, the Braves bounced back with a 1-0 victory after finding a timely double from Caden Shepard that got Chloe Hunsinger across home plate. The split leaves the Braves with a 3-6 record. Softball has a busy week ahead with 7 games, including a match against Wingate this afternoon at home. The women's basketball team took a trip out to Franklin Springs, Georgia, Saturday in hopes of extending their win streak to 8 games. The Braves had a back-and-forth 3 quarters of play against Emmanuel, and both teams tied at 41 going into the final period. Ultimately, Emmanuel was able to knock down timely shots and hold the Braves to just 11 points versus their own 19 in the 4th quarter. The Braves will play their last regular season game tomorrow against Belmont Abbey at 5 o'clock in the Jones Center. The men's basketball team has also suited up against Emmanuel Saturday, but the Braves got behind and were never able to recover. After a close first half saw the Braves only trailing by 7, the Emmanuel offense capitalized off the Braves' 20 turnovers and had a successful second half from the free throw line. This loss broke the Braves' 18-game winning streak. In fact, Emmanuel has handed the Braves their only 2 losses of the season. The Braves are now 25-2 and will look to make a quick work of Belmont Abbey tomorrow night after the women's game here at home. The swim team was in Kingsport, Tennessee for 4 days of the Conference Carolinas Championship, where they finished 2nd overall. The Braves totaled 611 points as runner-up to champion Emmanuel, who posted 700 points. Individual Braves swam their way to the first in the 400-yard freestyle relay with a posted time of 3:30.64. Mariel Mencina Martinez was first in the 100-yard freestyle, and Britta Schwingel took the gold in the 5-yard freestyle. Schwingel had just joined the Braves mid-year, but was named the Conference Carolinas Freshman of the Year. The Braves also captured the 200-yard freestyle relay. Head coach Oscar Roverado was named the league's Coach of the Year. Roverado led his squad to a 10-3 overall record while staying undefeated at home. At 6-0, this is Roverado's 2nd Coach of the Year award. He picked up that honor in 2020 when UNCP was briefly in the Mountain East Conference, where they won back-to-back titles. The indoor track and field teams traveled to Winston-Salem over the weekend to try and claim their stake in their Conference Carolinas. The men and women's teams both finished 2nd overall. Katherine Anderson took 1st place in the 3,000-meter run and was also named Female Track Athlete of the Year. Joshua Chepkisser claimed the top honor in the 5,000-meter run and was named Male Athlete of the Year for the 2nd year in a row. Reagan Evans was the 1st in women's weight throw. Delson Burkhart claimed both the 800-meter and mile run. The team claimed 11 titles over 2 days, and now they look to start their outdoor season on March 3rd in Wilmington. In the pros, WNBA star Brittany Griner, who just recently returned home after being in prison nearly 9 months in Russia, has signed a 1-year deal with Phoenix Mercury. Griner signed a 3-year deal with Phoenix back in 2020, and the team has announced that they will pay Griner in full for that 2022 season that included her imprisonment. Throughout her career, Griner has averaged 17.7 points per game and nearly 8 rebounds per game. That's all we've got for this week. I'm Mahala Trash, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Mahala. We're out of here as well. Thanks for watching. I'm Andrew Thrift.
And I'm Madison Schwinniker. See you next week.